Welcome to Graceful Healing, a podcast to get straight talk about healing and living again. My name is Maureen Lake. I'm a holistic health coach, speaker, author, and thyroid disease fighter. Each week, I'll be bringing you graceful conversations to inspire you to seek new ways to hit the reset button to catapult your health and vitality to new levels. Listen in and open your heart to all the new possibilities. Are you ready? Let's do this. Hello, everybody. Don't you think it's time to prioritize sleep over your work, social media, or even your social life? There happens to be a sleep deprivation crisis going on. In fact, 40% of all Americans are sleep deprived. It's just as important as nutrition, exercise, and heck, even wearing your seatbelt. And the fact is, women need more sleep than men. A lack of the physical effect of greater risk of heart disease, type 2, diabetes, and depression occurs for women more often than men. So what do we do and what don't we do? That's what the topic is today when I chat with my very best friend, Michelle, as we discuss the ins and outs of sleep. I hope you enjoy. Hi, Michelle. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you doing, Maureen?
I'm pretty good. I'm a little tired, but what else is new?
Yeah, remember when your kids were little and you wouldn't let them fall asleep if it was too late in the afternoon because they wouldn't sleep.
Yeah, that's right.
Night.
Yep.
So I totally understand that.
Or when you got the advice, from like your in-laws or whatever, like try to take a nap whenever your kids are napping. And it's like, seriously? There's only 50 million other things I need to do during that time.
Exactly. And you don't know if it'll be 20 minutes or 2 hours.
Exactly.
Yep, I do remember those days. Well, it's funny that you said that because said earlier about not sleeping because we decided yesterday we were going to talk about sleep, and then I had probably my worst night of sleep last night.
Oh, you did?
So I did.
Oh my gosh, you must have jinxed yourself.
I guess I did. I was so worried about talking about sleep that I couldn't sleep. So tell me a little bit about what you know about sleep deprivation from your health coach training.
I didn't learn a tremendous amount from my training, but originally my second book I was going to write was on sleep. So I've done a lot of research on it.
Oh, okay.
And then I kind of changed my mind once I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's, but I do know quite a bit about it. And the thing that I find is so frustrating for me is because you can go through all the lists, right? Like you should be doing this. You should be sleeping in a room that's this temperature. You should be dimming your blue light. You should be doing, all the things that you should be doing. And it's really hard to do those things. Really hard. Especially when they become such a habit in your life. What about you?
Well, I've always had, you said your witching hour is 3:00.
Yeah.
And mine is 2:00.
Oh, it is?
So, yep. And it's always like, a little before 2 or 2:11, or there's always a 2, it's something close. And so I didn't have really any training in sleep with my health coach certification, but in exploring this, sort of sleep pattern over the years, my naturopath once told me that 2:00 is when your liver is active.
Oh.
So that is why I really have a hard time if I have too much to drink, like, too much wine in the evening or anything like that. If I have to consciously say, well, I know I'll be waking up at 2:00. So is this going to work for the next day schedule?
Yeah, really. And should I drink?
I've tried to figure out whether it's, that power of suggestion that if I say 2:00 that I will wake up at 2:00. But even when I don't have that thought, I'll wake up at 2:00 if I've had really anything, more than one glass of wine.
Mm-hmm.
So I do. And my problem with sleep is I'm great at falling asleep, but I have trouble staying asleep.
Right.
So that's where we go with it.
Sometimes I fall asleep pretty easily, but typically I don't. I lay there and I think I almost get angry that my husband is sleeping next to me and can fall asleep the minute his head hits the pillow. And I'm
what
just
is
like,
that about
I know.
Men?
It's like, what is it? And truthfully, like when you look at the statistics, women do have a much more difficult time falling asleep. But I know for myself, like I call it my witching hours at 3:00, and it doesn't matter what time zone I'm in. It's whatever that time zone is, it's at 3:00. And
Wow.
I had asked my doctor about that, and she felt like it had to do with my adrenal glands after she did some analysis of that. Either that's when they were crashing or whatever. But for whatever it is, I just call it I have always felt, and I've been this way like for as long as I can remember. I wake up sometime during the 3:00 hour, and if I could just get a hug, I just feel like that comfort of a hug could just be enough to calm me back down and soothe me back to sleep. But am I going to wake my husband up to get a hug? No. So it's kind of like a catch-22 in a lot of ways, but there's something magical about that hour too, because I think 2-3 o'clock in the morning, a lot of us women wake up then.
Yeah. Well, I got such a kick out of something that you had posted about how many people are awake at 3:00 on Facebook.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I can't tell you how many people I connect with during that time.
So that really made me laugh. But I mean, it's not a laughing matter when you're sleep deprived. That's the thing. So
exactly, because it has such a physical effect on our body. I mean,
oh yeah,
we're at greater risk for a lot of things because we're not getting the proper amount of sleep.
Yeah, that's for sure. And the stress it puts on your brain as well as your, heart and your entire life, I think.
And one of the things that when I was doing research for my book, which is really kind of fascinating, it's not until we're in a deep REM that our body actually it like washes our brain. It washes all the plaque, it washes all the debris out of your brain every night. So unless you're in that REM sleep, that's not going to happen. And so people typically that don't sleep well are more at risk for Alzheimer's.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now that's a scary thought.
It's really scary.
So what can we do to help ourselves get more sleep?
Well, that's the $1 million question. Because like I said, I know like all the things, blue light is killing our sleep. I have this personal relationship with my iPad that I'm not ready to give up. I'm really not. It's like I'm in a honeymoon phase or whatever. And
yeah.
It's so easy to say, leave your electronics outside your bedroom, but so many of us, I mean, I don't even understand how high the percentage is, sleep with something next to us. I mean, it's just crazy, whether it's your phone or your iPad or... So again, just like we've talked in the past, mindset is so incredibly important. And for me, like just for example, I have a relationship with my device. I feel like I'm in the dating phase. I can't let go of it. I can't get enough of it, right?
Uh-huh.
And I personally have always fallen asleep with someone talking to me. So I use that as a crutch. So I'll listen to a podcast or I'll listen to a book on tape, or sometimes I even listen to the dang news, which is really bad.
Yeah.
But because I just want that. Yeah. I just need someone like to talk to me, and then I can fall asleep. So I'm not quite ready to give up my electronic devices. How about you? Are you good at that?
Well, I sort of flirt with it. I'm pretty good once I get into bed of not looking at my phone. I usually charge my phone in my bedroom, but not on the table next to me. Mm-hmm. What I noticed is when I was trying to read books on my iPad, that was really, a problem, disturbing my sleep. So I noticed that if I read a book, right, I fall asleep within, a paragraph.
I know.
So I've kind of gone back to that. It's like, either a magazine or a book, and that usually puts me to sleep. But like I said, my falling asleep isn't the problem. It's that staying asleep.
Yeah.
So, I'm usually tired and sleepy when I get to bed, but it's what do I do in the middle of the night when I wake up? Because I try not to grab a book or anything. I try really hard to do some breathing exercises to help me fall back to sleep. Mm-hmm. And that works quite a bit, but I think a lot of it is sort of what's happened during the day or in the evening that I probably have more control over, and I should be more aware.
Exactly. I agree. Oh, gosh.
So besides your device, any other things that you think could contribute to better sleep at night?
Well, lately I'm on a kick of taking melatonin, which... Because I know that the less light you get, the more your melatonin is going to actually secrete. And so because I'm addicted to my device, I'm not like secreting the melatonin. So for example, last night, because I couldn't sleep, I got up and actually took some melatonin, and it did seem to help because I'm cognitively aware of what I need to do. It's just a matter of actually doing it. And so I put my device on my side table and rolled over and tried to not listen to my husband snore. And, it's like all those other interferences that get in the way that is really hard. And so I know that if you make your room really cool, which I do. I sleep in a really cold room. It's dark. And all those things are kind of help you coax to sleep, right?
Yeah.
But the other thing that I'm really aware of is like when and how I exercise. Because I know if I get up early to exercise, I'm robbing myself of some sleep because I do sleep longer and better and have more dreams early in the morning. And so say, for example, I want to go to a Pilates class at 7:00, then I have to get up at 6. So I'm robbing myself of some of the time that I would normally be sleeping. Or if I decide to exercise later in the day, I'll sacrifice some of my sleep time. So it's like, especially if you exercise longer than an hour. I mean, how can you realistically fit it all in?
Yeah, that's a good point.
So now I'm like really trying to schedule it thoughtfully and kind of like a way that's more in tune with my own biological needs than just thinking, I'll power through this, because basically that's how I've lived my entire life is, you just kind of power through it and do what you need to do and move on, and being just more aware of what really works for me personally, which might not work for anybody else, but it actually works for me.
Well, I think you brought up a really good point, is that what works for someone else might not work for you. So you have to try some different things and find. I know I have one friend who, she goes to bed really early, and she said that she knows that if she misses that window of opportunity, she'll have trouble falling asleep. So like, I think she gets up really early too, but like if she pushes past that, like she's tired, then once she gets to bed or if she starts reading, she can't fall asleep, which I haven't had that problem. But what time do you typically go to sleep at night?
Well, it's really interesting. It depends on when I take my contacts out. I mean, seriously, because if I take my contacts out too early, then I'm wide awake. If I take them out like right before I fall asleep, then I'm good to go. And so basically that's what I try to do. But I'm like really interesting because when I'm living in Colorado, we tend to go to bed earlier mainly because our schedule is such that we're early risers. We do a lot of stuff super duper early, and I often talk about I should just become an official member of the 5 a.m. club, right? Like just get up and do all your stuff before dawn even arrives. But when I spent the past few months with my daughter in California, it was so different, just not being guided by somebody else's schedule and really listening to your own biological rhythm, for lack of a better word. And I realized that that's not really who I am. And I've been living a certain schedule just to kind of conform to whatever was happening in my own household, but not really being in tune to my needs. And so it was pretty eye-opening to spend that time with Devin and understanding that piece of me. It really was, because
that's interesting.
Yeah, it stayed like underground for so long. And so now I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not quite ready to go to bed just because it's 10 o'clock and the local news is on, because I live in mountain time and that's what you know what I mean? It's like,
oh yeah.
And you're in Pacific time, the local news doesn't come on until, way later. And so like you gear yourself differently.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Well, it's funny that you said that about being in Colorado and getting up earlier, because what I notice is, and this happened to me this morning, I set my alarm pretty much for the same time every day. But as the morning light is starting, it's starting to get light earlier, I'm noticing I'm waking up before my alarm. And, and as we move here in the desert into summer, it's like 5 o'clock, the sun comes up, or, 5:30. I never have trouble getting up in the summer, but I have so much trouble getting up in the winter when it's dark.
Yeah.
And, if I could listen to those, what do they call that? Your rhythm.
Yeah, your circadian rhythm.
Yeah. I would, do the same. I'd probably get up at 7 in the winter and get up at 5 in the summer.
Yeah. I know.
So it's too bad our culture doesn't really allow for that anymore.
Yeah, I agree.
But
Absolutely.
It is interesting. So do you notice certain foods affect you if you eat anything at night before you go to sleep?
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that I didn't really realize what I was doing like decades ago, but it's just something that's been part of my life, is kind of intermittent fasting. And now that it's like in vogue or whatever, I'm like, wait a minute, I've been doing that my entire life. And I really eat an early dinner and then I don't eat again until the morning. And I think that's really helped me as far as like, I don't have the caffeine problem. I don't have the sugar overload problem. I don't have any acid reflux. I don't like, if I have spicy foods, I've given time for it all to digest. So I don't really have a problem with foods, but I know a lot of people do. I mean, there's like the saying that eat right, sleep tight, eat wrong, up all night long. And I think that's really true. So really, honestly, if I ever have anything in the evening, other than maybe a few like nuts, I'm going to have something that has some magnesium in it, because I know by the end of the day, I need that just to kind of calm my nervous system in a way, because a lot of times my muscles will ache when I'm laying in bed because of whatever physical activity I did during that day before, and the magnesium really helps with that. But other than that, I really, truly, I mean, I'm really like almost religious about the time that I eat dinner and the time that I'm done, so that I can just have that time to fast from that point on.
Wow, that's a great tip. I'm going to give that a try, because I think that does play in for at least myself. You know, if I eat dinner too late or eat too much, then I just don't sleep as well.
Oh, I know. It can really wreak havoc. Really can.
So certain foods you think are triggers, or just generally everything late at night?
Well, I think definitely like caffeine is in everything, right? I mean, it's hidden in so much of our, not only our foods, but it's like in our toothpaste, it's in our soft drinks, it's not even like people think of caffeine as like coffee, but now it's everything, energy drinks. I mean, you name it, there's caffeine or sugar in it. And I know that just revs up our system, and it really we're like constantly trying to force our bodies to be in a state where we're not able to achieve naturally, right? If you need energy and you need to have a crutch to get it, then that's not a natural thing that's occurring. And then it triggers fatigue, which really, truly is just like nature's way of saying there's danger ahead. I experienced that this weekend driving back to Colorado. I mean, it was like the fatigue factor was unbelievably high. And it was a learning experience for me, truthfully, to understand what we do to ourselves to try to power through and push through certain situations without really listening to what's going on. And I'm going to get on a roll here, Michelle, but I think it has a lot to do with the difference between like masculine energy and feminine energy.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the masculine energy is go, 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 push, 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 power through it. And that's just, I feel like I've lived in that environment for the past 40 plus years. And I'm just dawning on this sunrise of realizing that that's really not my energy at all. And I need to really value my energy level and what works for me.
Yeah, and really listen to your body and your brain, huh?
Yeah. Well, what about you? I mean...
Well, I think I'm starting to become much more aware of the effects of sugar with me. And I think actually last night was a really good reminder, because I had a really fun weekend with my college friends. And they were here visiting for Tucson Festival of Books.
Fun.
Big plug for Tucson Festival of Books.
Which motivated me to get out my pictures, my photo album.
Yeah, that's right. So we had a great weekend and overdid, a lot of foods I don't normally eat at night. One of them being, anything that had sugar.
Yeah.
So, I really noticed that was I'm thinking that was a big reason why I didn't sleep well last night. Big factor. And so I'm going to take this week to really focus on that caffeine piece. Like you said, I mean, I'm not a coffee drinker, but it's in lots of things, and I do drink iced tea. And I don't know. Is anybody else, are you interested, or do you think anybody else would be interested in sort of a challenge for the week of, eliminate caffeine and sugar and see if it makes a difference in our sleep?
Well, I know that the amount of women out there that are suffering from sleep deprivation is huge. And everything is always better when you're supporting each other, right? So I mean, I think it would be great. I should really look into how much caffeine is in a Trenta black iced tea from Starbucks.
Oh, yeah.
Because, that's like, I don't know how many ounces of iced tea, and I have 2 a day. And so I pride myself on the fact that I don't drink coffee. But in the meantime, how much caffeine am I really getting through the course of a day? I do cut it off. I cut it off probably later than I should, because this is great, Michelle, because if I could cut it off and get support for it 2 to 3 o'clock in the day instead of like drinking it through dinner, I wonder if that could help.
Oh, well, gosh, so we could have our own little experiment. I love this because, maybe people could sort of weigh in on the Facebook page, what's working, like, not saying, okay, eliminate it totally, but let's just start with baby steps.
Yeah. I mean,
so our baby step will be like after 2 or 3 o'clock. Right. And see if that starts to help people.
I mean, it's not realistic to eliminate totally. They're just not.
Right. Well, I know in my experience, elimination only means I've just delayed my response. So I might be able to eliminate it today, but then tomorrow I might not.
And there's only 2 things in my life, and you can probably attest to at least one of these, that I eliminated something that was really terrible. And one was smoking cigarettes.
Yeah.
Yep. And the other was Diet Coke. I was so incredibly addicted to Diet Coke that
makes me smile, because those are my 2 also. Smoking. Fun. And it was just sort of a like, oh, I'm not going to do this anymore, after college.
Yep.
And if we go back to those podcasts a couple weeks ago when I could undiagnosed thyroid disease, that's how I would get through a day, was a Diet Coke every day.
Yep.
And one day I don't know why, but I decided I wasn't going to do that anymore. And I don't think I've had a Diet Coke since. Mm-hmm. But the other, like cutting out sugar, which is a bigger thing, is a little bit harder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, but the Diet Coke is huge because it's not only sugar. Even though it's diet, it's still like the artificial sweetener is just as deadly.
Oh, yeah. It's so bad.
Addicting. I mean, it's more addicting, they say, than cocaine. And the caffeine mixed with it. I mean, I was on a first name basis with the people at my drive-through window. I mean, I was for years.
I'm sorry I'm laughing, but I get it. I totally get it.
I know. And then when it went to a diet extra large for $1, I mean, I was in and out that drive-through window multiple times a day. It was sick.
Yeah. Well, think about most of the country is experiencing the same thing. Mm-hmm. So let's start just our little project here and see if we can make a difference with our own sleep by eliminating caffeine and sugar after 2 or 3 o'clock.
Yeah, I think that's a great,
Okay, who's in with us? I hope more people want to do this.
Yeah, and every week that we get together, we can have another extra little challenge. Like, oh my God, my hardest and I just know the most difficult one for me is going to be my electronics.
Okay.
But and the other thing with electronics is like people are on different time zones, right? So like I'll communicate with people like in California because I have 2 children that live in California that I can't give that up. I don't know how I can give that up.
Yeah, I know. But maybe we can find a solution where just after a certain time, we have to give it up.
Maybe.
Or maybe we limit it to, 15 minutes or something.
Yeah.
I bet there's a way we can do it.
I hope so, Michelle. I'm going to need your help on this one.
Well, I'm sure I'm going to need your help on some other ones.
What's probably, like, just to sum this up in a nutshell, like, what's your most difficult aspect of falling asleep? Do you think, like, if you were to share with everybody as far as, because all the X, Y, and Z things to do, and I do too, mm-hmm. and what's like your most difficult thing that you just feel like you can't give up or you just are going to hold on to the bitter end?
Probably the hardest would be me not turning the TV on. When I go into my bedroom, like get ready for bed, I turn on whether it's the news or, late night, Jimmy Fallon or something. Mm-hmm. And so I think that doesn't prevent me from falling asleep, but I think it's a bad habit, whatever it is. It's like, I don't really need that. And I could use that time to read if I really was more aware.
Yeah.
So, the news today is something that I don't really want to fall asleep to the news.
Right. I know.
It's usually not good news. So I don't really need to fog up my brain with it.
Right. You don't need to wake up depressed. That's for sure.
Yeah. So I think that's the one thing, the one holdout that I, would have to, I could make significant change with that, but I'd have to be very aware of my being, what's the word I'm looking for, sort of in a routine and turning on the TV without even thinking about it.
Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned the TV because I never, ever thought about having a TV in my bedroom until I got married. And then that became the norm. And I remember when my husband went to visit his in-laws and my mother-in-law saying to me, "Do you know your husband sleeps with the TV on?" I'm like, "Hello." And eventually I was able to convince him not to have a TV in the bedroom. But what happens is we substitute the TV we each have our own iPad, right? So, but at least that way we're watching the show we really want to watch. But it's just like there's one crutch over another crutch, like you can figure out a way to continue the cycle. And I know that's what I did. So anyways, I can proudly say I don't have a TV in my bedroom, but we each have an iPad.
So your honeymoon just went to your iPad.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think we've always, in our married life, always had a TV. And same thing. I mean, I just laugh. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and the TV is on and Ed's still holding the, remote. And, he'll if I try to get it away from him, he'll say he's watching TV. And I'm like, you're sound asleep. But now I'm watching it because... Right. Yeah, but it's again knowing what the things are and the triggers, but putting them to practice is a lot harder.
It is a lot harder. So I think the whole idea of just doing intermittent baby steps to get to where we want to go is really the way to go. Because if you try to go cold turkey on anything, whether it's taking a bath every night and Epsom salts. I mean, realistically, how many people can do that? Or, all the different things that we know that we should be doing to help ourselves sleep. But I think trying to eliminate caffeine and or sugar by 3 p.m. every day, that's like a no-brainer. That's not that hard to do.
Yep, I think you're right. It's a small step that could have like really big impact. We won't tackle, even though I know wine has sugar, but we won't tackle alcohol this week.
Yeah. Although I just heard from somebody just today that they had a glass of wine last night that totally messed up their sleep. And so I know it's a big problem, but oh my gosh, that's a hard one too.
Well, it's a hard one because of our social worlds, I think. But, it would just be a really good experiment. And I think, anybody, I shouldn't say anybody, I say I can do anything for 1 week.
Right.
And at the end of the week, if it's made a big impact, I'll be wanting to do it for another week. And before long, that'll be the new habit. So I hope other people, sort of see results as well.
That'd be awesome, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I'm excited now to try it. So, all right. Well, how about if we meet up on our Facebook page?
Yeah, Graceful Healing VIP private room. Just go to Facebook and go to the Graceful Healing VIP room, and we will meet there.
Awesome. And we'll have some conversations about who's having success.
Sounds good.
Great. Well, thanks so much for today. This is so fun. I'm actually inspired that I might start that tonight.
Well, you're going to have to let me know how it goes.
Okay.
I kind of have a feeling I already know how my night's going to go, but you never know.
I forgot that it's past 3:00, so.
I know. I have my Trenta iced tea sitting right here at my desk.
Me too.
5:30. So
tomorrow's another day. Exactly. That'll be day one for us.
That's the thing. You can't punish yourself because you screwed up one day. So
exactly. That's what I love about this. Baby steps, and we'll celebrate our success.
You got it. Sounds
okay. Perfect. Well, have a terrific evening, and I'll see you on our Facebook page.
Thanks, Michelle.
Okay. Bye, Maureen.
Bye. Hey, thank you for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. If you can, take a moment and give us a review, and please join the VIP room in Facebook for more discussion and insights. You can find us at Graceful Healing Podcast VIP room. See you there and see you next time.